what is your opinion on the federal government's pledge of 362 million to help provinces and cities temporarily house asylum seekers?
Well, I mean, this is your classic band-aid on a serious issue type thing where we throw money at a problem instead of fixing a problem. In order to help cities deal with, mass migration, you would want to reduce mass migration. And, we've had problems with, refugees living in hotels since COVID and all this different type of stuff. We have shelters that are overflowing because we can't keep up with, we can't match supply to demand in terms of housing. There's way too many barriers to building. So instead of addressing these problems, which would be, reduce regulations around building, you have Pierre Poilievre's plan to just simply tie funding to the amount of supply of housing to, put some pressure to increase the supply and thus reduce the cost of housing. But instead, we're just going to throw hundreds of millions of dollars at city budgets to deal with refugees. And you could say, okay, that's better than just not dealing with the refugees. We have them there. But again, you have the problem of what are the solutions we're putting forward. So if you're just funding the cities to throw money at refugees, well, then nothing's being accomplished. We're just throwing more money into a hole that's not doing anything. Are the cities going to take this money and use it to build homes and do all these different things to either, fix the supply or demand side of the issue? Probably not. We're probably just going to throw money at the same people who've been doing the same failed policies over and over and over again, but under the delusion that the only reason these failed policies haven't worked is because they haven't been funded well enough, and these have been overfunded. I mean, we've thrown billions of dollars at this. So what's a couple hundred million more seems to be the solution here. So to me, I see this as we're just throwing more money at a solution to say we've done something. So the federal government can claim they've done something, the provincial governments can claim they've done something, and the municipal governments can claim they've done something because, hey, look, money. But until I actually hear what the solutions are going to be and what this money is going to do, I'm skeptical that this is going to alleviate the pressure on refugees, non-refugees, immigrants, Canadians, you name it. This is, one of the key differentiating things between people who tend to lean more conservative and people who tend to lean more liberal is when we talk about solutions or when we talk about these problems, what is the applied solution, right? Government funding is not a solution, right? That seems to be a solution among the left, is just increase funding to things. And you can call this a solution, but it's not. Whereas people on my side of the aisle tend to say, okay, what are you actually doing? Let's think of a solution here, and then we can fund that. So until I see what this money is going to be doing, you can't expect the money to do anything other than what it's been doing the last 10 years, which is nothing.
But what is the solution and how can we help refugees in other way?
Well, a solution would be to, not deport like all these refugees. I mean, refugees can be here. I mean, a solution would be to deport illegal immigrants to reduce the stress and all this. You have all these people who are non-Canadian citizens, actively stumping for terrorist organizations in our country. You can deport them and thus say, okay, we're reducing, the demand here because now there's, if there's 30,000 people who need a home, let's say, and 5,000 of them are active terrorist supporters with no Canadian citizenship, and you deport them. Well, now you have 25,000 people looking for a home, and then it makes it easier for people to get them. And in terms of helping refugees, like again, no one is against this, but in order to help them, you have to bring them into a system in which they can succeed, which was Canada prior to the Trudeau administration, where we were taking about 4 to 5,000 refugees per year, which was an incredibly high amount compared to the rest of the world. But we had a system set up to do it where you could come in as a refugee and you could get assistance and you'd have people who could help you and integrate you. But then Justin Trudeau took the 5,000 number. First thing he did was about 50,000 Syrian refugees. So completely overloaded the system in 2015, where no one's getting any assistance if they come in the public sphere, and they're kind of just dumped onto the system. And then you've had, increased amount of refugees and immigration since then. So since we overloaded the system at the beginning of the Trudeau tenure, we've continued to throw more and more and more and more and more onto it. So the only real viable long-term solution is to go back to the 2014 numbers where we could actively integrate that amount and, probably go lower than that for a while to deal with the backlog in supply and demand. So, this is about making hard choices, and you can't just infinitely throw money at things because it might sound like a nice thing to do, but it doesn't actually help. And until you address the actual solutions, which is, supply of housing, you need to increase the amount of supply. You need to reduce barriers to building. This is, we've seen the studies on this over and over again. There's a reason why Texas can get many Texas, Dallas has massive influx of people that always come in, like, and it grows and grows and grows. And instead of, and even a lot of illegals and immigrants there too. But the reason why, everyone has an inflation problem now to an extent housing, but the reason why Texas, does so much better on all these metrics is because you can just build in Texas. Like, if there's 10,000 new people coming in, Texas is pretty big. There's land. Some developer's going to like buy some land, build some housing on it, and then sell it to people in a efficient and timely manner to manage the demand with supply. We don't do that here in Canada. We just kind of throw money at things, don't do solutions, and just kind of pretend that because we're nicer and we're so nice, that we can solve these problems with general kindness. And you cannot. You need, and you actually need a well thought out immigration strategy and a well thought out housing strategy in order to prevent what we're seeing now, which is mass influx of immigrants we can't handle, runaway inflation. So the immigrants that come here can't succeed because life's just way too expensive, or they get into situations that we see in Toronto where, like, there's 20, 30 people of student on student visas, like, all living in a basement in Brampton somewhere, just to manage the costs. You have, essentially you have nice houses becoming, slums because, they're just packed with people who, came here on student visas, can't find a place to live. So they, band together and just like rent out a house. And until there's legitimate solutions and some acknowledgement that we cannot just have unlimited immigration forever, then we're going to continue to see problems.